Welcome to the Over the Hump podcast. Your gateway to the world of the iconic Brahman breed of cattle. At BRC Ranch, our passion for Brahman cattle runs deep. Join us as we delve into the heart of this extraordinary breed, unveiling its rich history, exploring industry trends, and sharing captivating stories that define the American Brahman. BRC Ranch stands as the pinnacle of Brahman excellence in America, boasting a decade-long legacy of champions and housing the finest Brahman bulls worldwide. It's not just about cattle, it's about a legacy that reverberates across ranches and hearts. Brought to you by BRC Ranch, where the Brahman legacy thrives and stories are woven into the very fabric of ranching. This is Over the Hump. And now your hosts, Brandon Cottrell, Rachel Cottrell, and Keaton Dodd.
Hey everyone. So over the last year, y'all may have heard some rumblings that BRC has over doubled our total head count, but we did it by adding an Angus and Hereford cow herd to the mix. It's true. Back in the summer of 2024, we started leasing a property in Louisiana, and there we run about 230 head of Hereford and Angus cows. The goal in this is BRC being the Gulf Coast crossbreeding powerhouse for seed stock by 2030. Hereford, Angus, Brahman. That is literally the dream cross for ranching here in this part of the world. So in this episode, we're talking through that entire process of decision making, sourcing our foundation cattle, applying for financing and managing the financing, and more. So we hope you enjoy this businessy and visionary episode of BRC Over the Hump. Hey guys, welcome to this week's episode of Over the Hump podcast. Today, I'm your host, Rachel Cottrell, and I am moderating between Keaton Dodd and Brandon Cottrell. And the topic of today's podcast is what we loosely call our Louisiana Expansion. And you'll probably heard us referring to that from time to time and seen bits and pieces about it on our social media, but we thought it would be cool to give a bit of a detailed story of what's going on, how it started, how it's going on. I guess the theme of our Louisiana expansion, if I had to summarize it, is more numbers, Hereford and Angus. That's a good theme. Mm-hmm. But guys, if y'all want to I'm going to kick it off to you and just kind of give us the story of how this got started. I don't know who wants to start. Keaton, do you want to start on this?
The very, very beginning of it's a little blurry in my memory, but I think we were sitting in one of our kind of biannual strategy meetings. We try to have at least one or two where we all get together, put our heads together, and try to think about kind of what our next step is. And in that meeting, I guess, I don't know how this came about either, but somehow we got into the situation where we felt we needed to increase numbers, I guess was kind of the very basic principle of it, and didn't know how we were going to get there. And so then I think from there, Brandon kind of took over, and I guess this is where we would have to thank Kerry Crow for some of this aspect. Is we were just visiting with Kerry Crow. I think one day me and you both, for some reason, were at Transova.
No, he came to the ranch.
Okay, that's right.
And we were riding around showing him, and he's like, man, you guys are killing it. He said, what do you guys need to do to move forward, to keep progressing in what you're doing? He said, I'm paraphrasing here, but something along the lines of between the work that you're accomplishing and improving these cattle, your passion, your drive, what's next? What do you need to do? And I remember telling him, I said, we need more numbers. And he said, well, how are you going to do that? I said, I don't know. I said, I've been looking for cattle that fit what we're trying to do, and I can't find them. And I have come to the conclusion that the only way I think we're going to get there and produce the cattle that we want is we're going to have to make them ourselves. He said, well, how are you going to do? He said, what's the holdup? I said, right now it's land, because we are completely maxed out everywhere we go. I said, as you can see, we're great at overgrazing as we pass by these different herds of cattle that we have. I said, we need more land. I said, because I don't worry about the financing, and I don't worry about the core nucleus cattle that we're going to build from. but we need some more land and we don't have it here. He said, okay, that's cool. And I remember, I don't know, it was a few weeks. He said it was either a couple of days later, he either called or he said, I found somebody that does a really good job. And I found a place that might help you. And so that's when he told us about Trey. And, there's not too many people, we haven't introduced him yet, but Trey Peck at Sicily Island, Louisiana, was a former beef master breeder and has a beautiful piece of property over there. And so Carrie got us in contact with him. And so it just so happens, what is today? We're recording this, it's the 26th. Yesterday, when we were over there picking up those replacement heifers and stuff like that, Trey reminded us that it was the 1-year anniversary that we met him in person and when we came to look at the place. And so I thought that was a fun fact.
Yeah, All-American time, because that's what you were up at the All-American already for the show, and this one was when Owen was still helping us, and so me and Owen jumped in the car and drove up there and met you in Monroe, and then we went on down to Sicily Island and visited Trey's place for the first time, and I think it took about 35 seconds of us being there to realize, like, okay, this deal is going to happen, this makes sense, let's put this in motion.
So it's the age-old question that a lot of ranchers face, I think, of wanting to grow. I remember we were wanting to grow because we pretty much stay sold out. Like right now, again, we have 3 heifers for sale, and 3 heifers works great if it's someone who's looking for a one-off heifer. But, when you have buyers who are constantly asking for your product and you only have 3 heifers, you're kind of limited, So we wanted to grow, and like I said, it's the age-old question of you want to grow, but you need more land. Land is so expensive. It's really hard to just jump out there and buy a piece of property. And even in the BRC kind of trajectory, it seems that we weave this path a lot of leasing a place, buying a place, taking out a loan for cattle, taking out a loan for land. And, it's kind of the scenario that got us to that. I remember when y'all were going to look at the place, it was scary, right? Yeah. We were like scared, excited, nervous. Do y'all remember that?
Yes.
Like,
I think that portion was scary, and you probably had even more fear and anxiety in the parts that you handled, and that was getting financing. So I think me and Brandon are nervous all the time to try and uphold our end of the bargain, but really yours is the stressful. We're just running cows. But yeah.
Well, I'm going to tell him this, not in the script, but last night, he's going to be mad when I ask him this. Y'all had just got home, and I was thinking, I said, Brandon, have we got those cows rebred? He was like so mad at me for asking that, but I just
didn't even know what we were doing.
I just had
like, what the hell we've been doing the last 6 months?
That's kind of why we've been over there.
I knew that y'all were like weaning the calves and everything, but it just hit me like we've done this amazing job and we've got them calved out and weaned, and then I was like, are they bred back?
Yeah, we just completely forgot about that part. I can't believe it, Brandon.
That's like a nightmare situation.
That's like when you wake up or your dream where you go to school and you're in your underwear and you don't realize it until you get out of the car.
Right.
Completely unreasonable. But
well, that's a little bit out of the order of the sequence of things, but like these are the things that go through my head. So y'all went to Trey's place, and I remember thinking like it's scary to take this much of a growth and expansion and have it be 7 hours away, or however many hours away. But y'all felt so good about it, and y'all do feel good about it now. Like, talk through that.
When we first arrived over there, of course, first of all, it's beautiful landscape, driving all the way from West Monroe down to Sicily Island. It's farm ground, extremely fertile type stuff. It kind of sits between the Ouachita River and the Tensas River, and not too far from Natchez, Mississippi. So this place is beautiful. It sits right on the edge of a lake, and when we pulled up on this place, it's an old plantation, and they have an old plantation home, Indian mounds on the place. So it's like, this is the coolest place ever. But then meeting Trey, learning his background in the purebred side of things, and then him touring us around, like, we thought this is a perfect fit. It's almost too good to be true. After our initial meeting with him, kind of seeing what his expectations were and how they matched our expectations and our goals, we said, well, give us a couple of days. We're going to get back, have a team meeting, and get back with you. And as soon as we got back, it all just seemed like fall together into a dream situation. And
so then at that point, when we knew we kind of had secured a place that we could put cattle, the next step is, you're going to expand, but how? And that in itself is in its own, there's a lot of ways you could have done that. Keaton, you want to kind of talk us through our thought process on that?
Yeah, so again, I think what was probably initially brought up in that same meeting was we need more numbers, and initially we wanted more numbers specifically in Brahman, but we were going to increase the number through embryo transfer by way of purchasing more recips. And so we were going to stock that place with crossbred recips like we'd have here at BRC.
Let me back up. Did we entertain the thoughts of trying to buy purebred Brahman?
Yes.
Was that step one we thought about?
In the brainstorming phase, we're like, okay, we're going to try to buy purebred Brahmins, try to buy somebody out, something like that, stock that place with them. Then we talked about stocking it with Brahmins to breed to Hereford and Angus and just make F1s. And then we had settled on kind of coming up with buying recips.
Okay,
and putting
that's
embryos.
right. Let Keaton go back, but I thought we talked about that.
We were going to purchase recip cows and just go that route, crossbred recips. But anybody that's in the business right now realizes that a recip cow isn't far off from the price of a registered cow. And so the idea kind of diversifying, I guess that was the first time it ran across our desk. We're like, well, if we've got these cows that we're going to purchase and put embryos in, why not spend literally an extra $200 or $300 a head probably was all it was, buy registered cows. And then we have a few new avenues opened up, one of which is obviously we're going to stick embryos in these cows. The other is we're going to clean them up with some Brahman bulls. And so the F1 market right now is fantastic. We thought that was going to be another point of diversity. And the last one is we were going to maybe try and raise a few Hereford and Angus. And so that's kind of what sent us out on our mission. I don't even know if Hereford was initially on it. I think we wanted Angus cows. Yeah. Was kind of I don't know if Angus, the breed mattered.
And but we were also, but we wanted to stay with the more mainstream breeds for F1.
We looked into Brangus a little bit.
Yeah, we looking into purebred Brangus. We looked at Angus, both red and black.
Yep.
And was kind of starting from there.
I pulled up my spreadsheet just for a reference.
Oh, yeah, we made a whole list
we should probably not name these names, but there's probably, 30 names on this list of places that we would possibly source.
And I don't think we got them. Well, we did. We got the Angus from the places where we expected to get Angus from, but the Herefords that we found were not even on our initial list. And so that's kind of just God's blessings and them finding us. But so I guess then from there, once we decided, okay, we need to go find these cows. Did you reach out to Jimmy Dismukes?
I think Brandon and I were talking because we had set in our minds we had settled on Hereford and Angus as where we wanted to go with the strategy you mentioned. And then, of course, for Angus, we were going to do Ingram because they're our partners. And then Ranch House has been doing Dismukes Ranch advertising for probably 15 or 20 years. And I think it was you, Brandon, that said you had saw on Facebook that Jimmy was selling a set of, fall calving cows or whatever calving cows they were, a group. And that's when we decided to reach out to him. Who went there? Who went to?
Me, Brandon, and WT who went to Dismukes.
So y'all flew up there.
Drove.
Oh.
7 hours.
And liked them. Y'all made the deal.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, y'all made that deal right that day, right?
We went and looked at them. And then, of course, I've learned over the years, never say yes until I get back and talk to you.
Right. Right.
Never pull the trigger without Rachel's okay. And so, but he showed us around the cattle. Well, he's got a pretty impressive operation up there, both Charolais, purebred Charolais and purebred Angus. But we were looking particularly at the Angus cattle, and he spent several hours showing us around. We were impressed and said, okay, let me get back and talk to the boss lady. And it wasn't too long after that we made the deal on those cows.
That was a good set of cows, too. I think we kicked through there. We might have sorted out 5 in the whole group and bought all of the rest of them. So, I mean, they were a solid group of cows. And then the Ingram cows, correct me if I'm wrong. I mean, I know we never went up there and looked at them, but did you just reach out to Jason, or who did you
I
communicate?
think that's right too. So I
did you
texted Jason because again, we work with them so well. Again, Ranch House was doing their marketing. We work with Ingram so well in our Brahman partnership. They were obviously the place that we wanted to reach out to. But it was during a time where like they weren't having a sale. So I had texted Jason up church and asked him what they had. And I think it was the same thing. I can't remember how many they had for sale. And he said, yeah, they do have a group of private treaties. And he just started sending us pictures. Yeah, it looks like 52 head that we bought from them.
He sent individual pictures of every animal.
Every animal?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Oh
we
my
had
gosh.
their papers and
I
their
would've
picture.
Punched me
I
if
know.
it was someone asking me to send 59 pictures.
So over and above what he could have done,
Yeah.
just the customer service on that, the potential customer service
Yeah, because
on
he
that
sent them
was
before we even spoke.
fantastic. Yeah, he sent a picture and pedigree of every single animal.
And that's like awesome. That's awesome because it's different when you're on the other side of buying versus selling. Again, if someone asked me to send them pictures of 59 head, I would be like, nope, get in the car and come look here. But they were great, and y'all bought those basically sight unseen.
Mhm.
I mean, you saw them in a picture and group videos, but you had so much trust in them that
They were a well-bred set of
you
cows,
did it.
too. Looking through pedigrees and kind of following along, you could tell they were quality cattle, at least by pedigree and picture.
And both of those places are reputation places.
Right.
Both Jimmy Dismukes, both back when he was in California and now, has got a fantastic reputation in both breeds that he represents,
Mhm.
Charolais and Angus. Ingrams, they've been partners with us for 10 years and got some of the fantastic Angus cattle. We work with David and Jason there as well, and just had a great relationship for years. And so we knew the people that were behind the cattle and knew they would stand behind the cattle.
Both of those, we share the same mindset. So it made it easy to want to buy from them and easy to make the decision to buy because we all share the same goals as far as like functionality, fertility, structure.
We're still having some look to them.
Yes, yeah. So
and a level of trust, too,
Right.
I think, is the big thing, is both of those people were people that y'all had trusted from previous business deals.
that put you at 120 head of Angus.
Yep.
And then what came next? Brandon, did the Mississippi commercial cows come next? Or did my trip
The
go
Herefords.
next? Okay. And so then that in itself
So for
is
the
a whole
whole month
other
of what, like
experience.
from when? July to September, y'all were
Mhm.
like in cattle buying mode.
Buying spree.
You were like loving every moment of it.
Yeah. Do we need to back up and talk about some of the
Financing?
'Cause,
Yes, probably.
It ain't like we just went out and started.
Woo!
We had to go through a process
Y'all loaded.
of getting financed. Yeah, and so I guess the way the steps worked, it was locate a ranch or location
Mhm.
to house the cattle,
Secure financing would probably be next.
make sure we could secure financing before we move forward, said yes, we'll do it. And then once we got the financing, we went hardcore looking for cattle. But Rachel is the numbers person and the financing part.
And it was maybe like, of course, we financed initially some things through our local bank. And then as we've gotten bigger, we financed everything with Capital Farm Credit. And it was 2 or 3 years ago at the Beef Cattle Short Course when I met Phil Peabody, who's the Chief Lending Officer for Capital Farm Credit. This was before I was on their board. And so I remember meeting him and he gave me his business card and he was like, I'm the Chief Lending Officer for Capital Farm Credit, like head guy. And I took that business card. Dada had passed away by that time. And I held that business card up to heaven. And I was like, Dada, we've made it. I was like, I got the direct cell phone number of the Chief Lending Officer of Capital Farm Credit. And we are ready to start making some deals.
And some Sloan Williams rubbing off
Yes.
on you in a hard
I was
way.
like, yes. And so, of course, that was our first place that we reached out to. Now, I will say I followed the correct chain of command, which is our local loan officer here in our local office. And she's amazing and just kind of put out a feeler because I don't know how this works. We've never done a deal like this. This was way different from a land purchasing deal. So we had a lot of questions. But our whole team, we sat down and we started with a spreadsheet. Remember, we started with a spreadsheet, a budget, some break-evens. That was where Owen was huge helping us because he's so smart in his ag economics degree. And then we started meeting with Capital Farm Credit and that experience alone was priceless. I mean, were you in that meeting, Keaton?
I was in one of them.
So their regional manager came down along with our typical loan officer, and we had a sit-down meeting, and we just discussed everything. Our plan, I guess it was almost like a Shark Tank. I was looking at our questions that we had written. Of course, I have all of this, but it was like, do you need an insurance policy? What is your exit strategy? Like, is this a short-term deal or a long-term deal? You know, all these questions he was asking. One of the things he asked us was death loss. You know, what are we expecting for death loss? We had no idea on that. I mean, that wasn't initially in our plan. So we went back, remember, through all of our records and kind of found what is our current death loss, which was kind of low. I mean, all of these questions, like this question here, do we need to increase our life insurance policy because we have so much debt now?
Answer, yes.
Question number 23, do we need to consider purchasing a more reliable truck so we have better trips? We can have better trips to this ranch.
Yes.
Also, yes. You know, like there's just a lot of questions that you have, but the people at Capital Farm Credit, as always, helped us be prepared for taking this step, you know, and then we talked about it, we got the financing, and once we got the go-ahead, it was full steam ahead. So then that's when the first set, I think, was Dismukes.
Yep.
And the second was Ingram. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
And then
the Herefords.
Then the Herefords, which
that
is
was
your time to shine.
That was an experience in itself.
That was
Lots of firsts.
I think that's the pinnacle moment of your ranching career, Keaton. I had
so
to say
far.
That or winning Houston.
It's been a hell of a year.
Exhilarating.
It's been a wonderful year.
So, the way that all came about, when we decided Hereford's first phone call was to Barber, I'm pretty sure. And and that makes sense, obviously. We have tons of respect for their program and just a deep friendship with that whole family. And so, first phone call was Barber. They didn't have anything that fit that price range that would work for where we were headed.
You should point out that because we had a very specific price range.
Yes.
And it was low.
Yes. It was
not high.
Well, if you cure it over 200 and some odd head like we did, that value starts to look pretty staggering. But on an individual basis, yes, it was not incredibly high. But the Barber cattle didn't fit the budget. Talked to some other people. Happened to have a really good relationship with actually our Hereford field man, Cord Weinheimer. He was one of my judging students when I was at A&M, and started talking to him, and he was sending me some stuff back and forth, and he was sending me stuff that was a little out of our price range, or maybe that was a set of 10. I'm like, I can't buy just 10. I need and then he reached out to me one day and he said, will you call Matt Sims? He said he's got a set of cows that might be what you're looking for. I don't know if they are or if they aren't, but it'd go a long way with me and Mark's relationship if you would at least inquire. Yeah, absolutely. You've been real helpful. I will. And he called me and we talked about what kind of cattle we had there and planned a time to go up there and look at those cattle. And I think it was 90 some odd head that we went and looked at. And he was at the time trying to sell me 30 of them. And we rolled up there and they were priced a good bit over our budget. But after riding around through the cows, like, what do you think? I'm like, well, I like the cows. I think they fit. Price we're going to have to work on. I'm like, well, how many do you want? I said, well, there's the dollar value we can go with. Showed it to them. They said, okay, well, that would work. Probably going to need to be more than that. And I said, well, would you sell them all? And they were like, wait, what?
You just pulled a Molly Contreras.
Let's go ahead and just take them all. And they both kind of sat back for a second and looked at me and they're like, we're going to have to call Casey. Casey's the actual owner of the cows. They said we were not prepared for this at all. So they called him. He talked for a little while and they said, well, how about this? You take all of them except for we want to keep all of the open heifers to restart with. And I said, perfect. I didn't really want the open heifers anyways. So this is fantastic. Got the negotiation done. Called y'all, excited that we got it done. Drove back and started planning trucks. And I think it was 2 truckloads of Herefords.
4 truckloads of Angus.
And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think I was the only one that met any of the trucks.
Yes.
And so that's also, this year's been an exciting year. So I unloaded 6 truckloads of cattle, me and Trey Peck, counting them. Trey was counting with his fingers probably. And he'd be like, how many did you get? And I'd say 19. He'd be like, I got 24. And so me and Trey are just trying to figure this whole deal out. I'm deworming them as they're coming off the truck. And yeah, that was the most nerve-wracking experience of my
That
life
was-
was buying the cows and then unloading them and seeing them. And I'm like, okay, this worked. We did a good thing when
This
we bought
is
these
fun
cows.
because on our spreadsheet, I don't even have a name. It just says Keaton's Hereford deal, 92 head.
Casey Shires, I believe, 4S Farms, and
Yes.
those cows are fantastic. Me and Brandon were just talking about them today. Like, that was a godsend. And they're actually, the majority of them come directly from Shaw. So they're /S branded Hereford cows, quality cattle with pedigree. I mean, they're good, marketable females, but
That was
that was a lot of fun.
you made such a big deal on that. You're not giving yourself credit, but it was a huge deal. Is that the single largest purchase we've done in BRC? No, Southern would be a little higher, but that's number 2, and you did it all by yourself. And I remember you were going there, and I was like, "This is our number, Keaton. You're gonna have to make the deal." I think you texted me at one point, and you said you didn't think we were going to be able to make it, and I was like, "Fine, just walk out. Just walk out." Remember?
Yep.
And then, did you walk out, or did you come back in and
Well,
make the deal?
I told him that no. I mean, it came down to a no. Sorry, I appreciate y'all's time. We can't take him. And then we started talking a little, and they're like, "Well, what can you do?" And I said, "This is our top dollar. Here it is."
Yeah, because
I'll
the
take 'em all.
spreadsheet said. But in all fairness, I think we went a little over what was in the spreadsheet.
From
didn't
the
we?
very first time, every single cow we bought cost what and the bulls too were all
went a
over
little
budget.
over what we had budgeted in the spreadsheet.
Everything was over budget. We haven't bought the first animal under budget.
No, even the commercial cows you bought, I think, were over budget.
The commercial cattle were just as bad as the purebred cattle.
Brandon, you should tell that story because we had gotten Brandon tells me we had gotten I think most of these done but we still wanted a few more, and Brandon says and this is right because you knew we were over budget in all the other purchases, and we were like we had a total number for cattle purchases, but everything we had purchased so far was over that budget. So Brandon comes to me one night and he's like, "I found this commercial sale in Mississippi and I know it, and typically the prices are really good. It's like an affordable sale." So you were thinking you could go there
Drag the average
and
down.
pull the average down because you could buy some recips cheaper. So off you went, right?
Yep.
You
And
drove there, right?
drove over there. Yep. My dad went to the sale with me. We spent the whole morning going through the cattle, and the cattle were really good. And I said, "Man, yeah, we came to the right spot." Well, this is just about the time all the prices everywhere start skyrocketing. And I said, and I was planning on getting a truckload or two of cattle just to finish stocking us out. And I remember sitting there, and I had my list of cattle that I liked.
And you were also, I should also say, you were also notorious for going to a sale and blowing the budget, right? So
This has happened before, huh?
I was like, "Don't you dare, Brandon," because we were already over budget, in other areas.
I was planning on getting a bunch, so I said, "Well, I can get some of these better in cattle at a little higher price and then work out the average later on." They never went down. And I had to quit at 22 head or 21
Well,
head.
And once you had started buying, though, you were kind of like, "Well, I can't just buy 2
Yeah.
and have a whole a truck come to Louisiana with 2
That's
head
right.
on it." You kind of had to try to fill the truck.
Fill a truck up for the, yeah.
I was
So-
texting your dad, and I was like, "Do not let him spend more than this budget."
Oh, your dad went with you?
Yes.
I didn't realize you had a supervisor.
I know.
Of course, he had a supervisor.
I know. I was
BJ was-
caught in a spot where I'd already bought a few, but I'm like, well, dang, I'm going to have to keep buying to get a truck, to make it worthwhile on the trucking.
Or at least
And then
that's how he justified it.
Yeah,
Right.
and then I got to a point, I was like, I just can't take it anymore. These cattle are high, but they were good.
They are good. They still are good. They're half of
BJ
them.
was supposed to go with you to supervise, remember?
He
and then
went,
he
yep.
went for a little while, and then his kids had enough, and he had to leave. So
Well, I'd already quit buying by that point.
But yeah, some of those are half-blood semis, and then the other ones were Brangus type females,
Yes,
and they were very
Sim-Angus
good.
and Brangus type females.
But no, those cows
y'all
have
were
been
really-
worth it, actually.
y'all were really ranching for about 3 months there
I-
when y'all were buying.
I've spent more money of other people's this year than I've ever spent of my own in my life.
But I will preface that there are probably 2 people that I can name offhand that I would trust to go buy cattle for me sight unseen. Or if they called me and said, "Hey, I found some cows or a cow or this or that we need," that I trust enough to say, okay, buy them. With me never laying eyes on them. And I mean, there's probably
It's me and Keaton.
that's you and Keaton.
Yeah, there we
Both
go.
of us right here.
And so there's
There's a
And
level
that's-
of trust between
there
all
is
of
a
us.
level of trust and confidence in each of y'all that I don't worry about. If you say it, I'll go with it. So and it has worked out well.
So then y'all were set. You started. I do remember y'all saying you had to get some of the cattle there because they were so far along bred. You didn't want them to calve.
Calf on the
At-
truck.
So our thought process on that was we wanted to buy breds so we could have sooner cash flow.
Yeah.
Versus
That's right.
like an
Shorten
open
up
or a young.
the time period for cash flow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And here we are at a year getting ready to sell calves, and so I guess the plan at least
Yeah.
came full circle.
Brahman breeders know, you want the finest herd? You have to start with the finest Brahman bull semen, and there's no finer selection than at BRC Ranch. Our champion makers are exactly that, but we know variety is essential. We also offer semen from low birth weight bulls, polled/scurred bulls, and sexed heifer semen. BRC Ranch works to release orders within 3 to 5 business days, but you can always stop by the ranch to pick up your order too. Bring the top Brahman sires to your ranch. Go online to shopbrcatraire.com.
So with that, now you're set. You've got your Brahmins. We've got the Brahmins here. We've got the Herefords. That we have. I think we have 120 head of Angus and
Low 90s.
90 head of Hereford. So what's that? 210. And then we bought some other,
Those
recipes and some
Yeah.
other things
There's like
on the
242
deal
head total
over there. And then what? Talk
Of
about
brood
the
cows.
breeding program.
Well,
what next?
I will say that the thing that makes it all work in this particular situation is Trey and his piece of land, because one, Trey, his wife Stacy, and their daughter Miley have that place over there, and it's fantastic. But Trey has a love for purebred seed stock cattle.
Yep.
And like I said, he was in the Beefmaster business before. He was successful at that. But Trey goes out every day and he tags and weighs every calf, and even the crossbred calves. But he goes the extra mile to make sure things are done right. He makes sure they got mineral. He makes sure they've got hay if they need it, and he put out hay all winter for them. He takes care of them like they're his cattle. But anything we want, he gets, like birth weights, weaning weights. He takes teat and udder scores for us. Disposition scores of the cows when he's tagging the calves, and mothering scores, all that stuff. He does it, and he loves it, and he's diligent at it. And he might not have the best handwriting.
I was just about to say that. That is his one downfall. Trey, if you're listening to this, I can't read anything you write.
But the record keeping there is really, and his attention to detail is what really brings it all together.
And just a good guy. We have fun when we work with
Yeah.
him, and he brings out the best in all of us. So we enjoy working with Trey.
Yeah. So then that really set the wheels in motion for. Well, I don't know if I've shared this with y'all, but I have a new code name in my head. You know how we have all these code names for different stuff. Was the code name for this?
Louisiana Purchase,
Was it Louisiana
Yes.
Purchase? We have one code name that's Longhorn Cadillac, and that's the code name of driving around in a
That
big,
was the Leachman deal.
in
Is
a
what
big,
that was.
fancy Cadillac with a Longhorn.
Yeah.
So by 5 years, think about where BRC is going to be with a Brahman, Hereford, and Angus in 5 years, and I think it's going to be cool. I think it's going to be
I think
very
it's gonna
cool.
be real cool.
You, Keaton, had said, you want to keep positioning us as a relevant seed stock producer. Relevant seed stock producer, not a hobbyist, of raising Brahman cattle for cuteness.
Mhm.
But this really positions us to be a premier seed stock source for all breeds of crossbreeding.
Yeah.
So talk about that, Keaton.
Well,
Yeah.
You came up with the marketing idea of it, but basically being the Gulf Coast's premier crossbreeding source of seed stock, and the joy of it is all three of those breeds coexist and go together so well. Whether it's we're we've got a customer that's making tiger stripes and he needs Herefords and Brahmans, but then he's going to clean up his tiger stripes with an Angus bull. Well, we can service that guy's entire needs, or vice versa. We'll have F1s to sell commercial cattlemen. We'll have Angus bulls to market next year and Hereford bulls and still the Brahmans. And so they all seem to work so cohesively, and yet still we have opportunity to kind of see how much we can grow that market down here. I guess the initial thing that really sold me on why this is possible and why we can make it work was visiting with some of our commercial customers that have been buying Hereford bulls out of like Nebraska, say, or South Dakota or whatever, and they would tell us these bulls are good. Don't get me wrong, and they're bred well. But when I bring them down here, I either have to count on them not lasting more than a year or two, or I have to leave them in the pen for a full year, let them acclimate before I'm even confident turning them out. And so like that's not feasible, or at least it didn't seem feasible to us. And so we thought, let's bring the genetics here. Let's develop them in this environment, and then we'll have marketable, quality pedigreed seed stock that are adapted to this climate, and you can turn them out as yearlings, hopefully, and that's our plan. And so we'll test the theory this year. We'll have, I think, what Brandon and I just got back from Louisiana. I think we sorted back. We'll have more than half a dozen, 10 or so Hereford bulls and a handful of Angus bulls, and then we'll have a group of about 40 replacement heifers that we'll be able to market this year. And those were just what we thought were very top tier seed stock quality stuff, and the rest of them we castrated and we'll market to.
Yeah, with complete performance data on them, with Trey's help and that kind of thing. But I mean, this thing has, a seed was planted and then it's grown and kind of morphed into different situations where, one, the priority goal was to expand the Brahman operations, and then it's morphed into also a way to diversify into other purebred seed stock breeds as well as F1s. And
I think that's a good thing we skimmed over that you just brought us back to, Brandon, is we haven't really talked about the fact that we stuck embryos in the vast majority of these cows, right?
And so all these cows we went through and we put 2 rounds of embryos in, and in these cows. And let's see, so we have a group coming, a large group coming in September of Hereford and Angus cows that will be having purebred Brahman calves, and we'll also have a group coming in November, and Trey's going to calve those out and for us and everything. And then after that, the coolest part to me, one of my favorite parts of the whole deal was when we went and were sourcing our Hereford and Angus bulls.
I like that too.
And so we had a lot of fun doing that. Bought those 2 really good Barber bulls. Bought the really good Angus bulls, which you bought for us while we were in the Champion Drive.
I bought all of them, I think.
Yes,
actually,
right.
We were driving to Louisiana, bidding on the Hereford bulls, and then the Angus bulls was literally while we were showing females at the National Brahman Show,
and
World Brahman Congress.
So that was fun. I would like to say, while we were making bull selection, that was amazing, because you have so much information in those breeds.
Buying your herd bulls from, we were talking about when you bought our herd bulls for the purebred Angus and Hereford.
But you get those catalogs in, and they're so full of information on those bulls that you can really pinpoint a herd bull that fits your program. Not just birth weights, weaning weights, yearling weights, but it's got the genomically enhanced EPDs on there. It's got all the different performance data and eye pigment on the Hereford bulls, and all that kind of stuff. But it was all there at your fingertips, and just to have that information available to make informed decisions on bulls that would be impacting your program.
Yeah, after listening to the most recent Over the Hump podcast, we were slightly hypocritical because we did buy bulls sight unseen, but we did as much research, Brandon. I apologize. We did buy bulls sight unseen, but we did as much research as possible, and we had people we trust put eyes on them.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so Cord Weinheimer, again, was a huge help. He went through every bull in the barber cell with me and talked about strengths, and we kind of figured out what would work. But
those, I've never seen the Ingram Angus bulls in person, but those 2 bulls you got from Barber are amazing. Like when you, and it's cool to be on the other side of buying a bull, because every day I see Brahman bulls that we raise that, I mean, literally every day I'm like, that bull looks amazing. You know, yesterday it was 2:30. I was like, gosh, he looks so amazing. And I own him. But when they unloaded those 2 Barber bulls, those were just absolutely, it's like it gave you a great feeling of like, I own these bulls. Like
yeah.
these are legit bulls and they belong to us. And they were just, I mean, you couldn't ask for anything more in those bulls.
Yeah, I will say the horn bull that we bought, on the Hereford bulls, we bought a horn bull and a pole bull. Most of the Hereford cows that we have, all of the Hereford cows
Almost
we bought
all of them
are polled. They just happen to be polled, but they're a cross over. You look through their pedigrees, and it's kind of weaving in and out of there, horned and polled, but they're all polled. And but we bought a horn bull and a pole bull, not because they were horned or polled, just because that's the bulls we liked. Like the horn bull, I think he was our 3rd pick overall in the whole catalog, and we were happy and stoked to get him and loved that bull. And I think the other bull that we have, we call him Blitz. I think that's his name.
Yeah.
That was he like 95 or something?
96, 95, 96, something like that.
I think Cord said, hey, there's a bull here that you probably need to look at.
And he didn't have a picture in the catalog.
No, he did not. He was lot 95. I didn't even know the bull. They had that many bulls in the sale. I never got to that part of the catalog.
Yeah.
But we went and started looking at it and researching and said, yeah, okay, if you got that much trust in him, he fits everywhere else. When they got here, I like that bull the best.
Yeah.
So Cord, you did a great job.
Yeah, he did. My buddy Harrison actually was talking to Brett a couple weeks later somewhere, and he said, man, those bulls BRC got, those are nice bulls. He said, damn right they were, and they weren't very expensive either. But typical Brett fashion.
They were so good. I love those bulls. We talked about the Hereford and we talked about the Angus, but y'all also turned out 3 of our own home-raised Brahman bulls over there, right? Let's talk about those. 5, because I know you're excited about those.
Yes. So what we did was after we went through and put 2 rounds of embryos in everything, we sourced those really good Angus bulls and really good Hereford bulls.
Talk about the Brahman matings you did, because, and then maybe we'll talk about the bulls, because this was cool for us.
Oh, yes.
Of choosing the Brahman. If you get to double or triple your embryo production and mate those cows, we got to do some things that we hadn't been able to do, and that was really cool too. Y'all want to talk about that first?
I mean, even backing all the way up to the initial conversation with Kerry Crow and what we were trying to do, he was like, when he asked him what we want to do, and I said, we can make some of the best show cattle in the world, and I can do it every day of the week, and those are the ones that sell for lots and lots of money. I said, but where I really want to be increasing numbers is more on the production ranching side of cattle. And I said, but sometimes they don't always sell for as much as the purebred or the show type stuff. So it's hard to justify that, but that's where we really need to be working on. I said, we've been improving these cattle in these areas for the last 10 years and more, but we're not able to mass populate them. That's kind of like they're flying under the radar. So I really want to focus on mass producing those cattle. And so that's kind of what led us into this. That's the main goal, but also on a management side of things, that's the kind of cattle that we need over there, so we don't just work old poor Trey to death. So we need we need cattle that are calving ease, that have extremely high vigor and things like that, and that are be low maintenance, low input type cattle, because he's already going to be tagging and weighing everything and creep feeding and everything like that. We don't need to have him worrying about nursing calves, pulling calves, all that kind of stuff. So we got to handle it with kid gloves. So that kind of helps also keep us within bounds on certain traits. But it's been so great to be able to use those cows that have worked year in and year out and flush them to the bulls that have done the same thing on the other side to produce, to mass produce the super real world functional type stuff.
So you remember some of the ones y'all did?
Well, I mean, we did cows even still like a Sweetie or a 21, but we flushed them to bulls like the 292 bull or the Parton 584, things like that. Then we also did like the maternal merit cows, the 978 cow.
My Noah's Ark cow, we did her.
I believe we did Molly's 818 cow. No, we didn't, because we only did BRC cows.
Yeah.
Huh? the 60/9 cow, which is 160's full sister, but is a beautiful representation of a Brahman, but functional and real world. And then we hadn't even talked about this. We actually got a little brave, and we turned a few of those Herefords and Angus into donors. And
Yep,
and we thought that they were of quality enough that they were worthy of flushing. And so we flushed, I think we flushed 2 Angus and 2 Herefords to this point.
Didn't y'all buy semen on, what's the bull y'all bought semen on that won some big Hereford
Red
show?
Man.
Okay. No.
Yeah, we bought semen on several Hereford. Putting a pin in this, I would like to say, coming from the Brahman side of things, where the bulls you want, one, you either can't get a hold of them because they won't sell them to you, or you have to pay exorbitant amount of prices, has spoiled me when you jump over here to the Angus and the Hereford side, because pretty much you can get any bull you want to get for $50 a straw. Now in some cases there's a few bulls that might be $250 a straw, but those are like the super top tier, boom, the good
We're
ones.
like dead, and they're small inventory.
I want those. I want some of those.
And so when we were starting to look for semen on these bulls to AI as well as do a little embryo work, we went straight to the top and said, well, let's see what we can do. And we started calling around on some of these very top bulls, and they're like, hey, listen, brace yourself. I know this is going to be high, so brace yourselves. And
it's going to be $50.
Well, there was one bull that was like, it's going to be $250 per straw. And I'm like, all right,
okay, cool.
Give me 10. And he said, what?
Eye roller.
That's a deal.
Counting his money.
I will say, before we went and put embryos in, we went and pulled out about 10 head of Herefords and about the same amount of Angus cows and said, these are some upper end cattle that we need to focus on and work with. And so we went through and AI'd those, flushed 2 of each breed, but then AI'd everything else to bulls of their respective breed. Bought sex semen on Angus bulls, and I bought sexed male semen, because our whole goal was to make bulls,
exactly.
On the purebred English side of things. And so I went to Sexing Technologies, and again had a great time picking through and researching those bulls and trying to pick the bulls, but bought sexed male semen to produce bulls. And I'll tell you one thing about these Herefords and Angus. You can just throw semen in their general direction and they're getting pregnant.
It's crazy.
And so it's wonderful, but I forget exactly where we were going with this. But yes, so when we got ready, after we put our 2 rounds of embryos in those cows, we got our bulls of each breed, a Hereford and Angus, and we turned them out with their respective breeds. But also on the Angus cows, we turned out 3 Brahman bulls, and on the Hereford cows, we turned out 2 Brahman bulls. And so each breed, we're going to pretty much should have an even mix of, once they get all the embryo calves calved out, they'll have an even mix of purebreds of each breed as well as F1s of each breed. And the fun part about that was the Brahman bulls that we were able to use were the Brahman bulls that would have been like my dream F1 maker bulls. And so I'm really excited to see those cattle.
Yeah, those are the bulls. I can't remember, but I do think those bulls are the bulls that you turned out there are on our website.
Yes,
yes. The 317 bull, Super Stockman.
Yep, Super Stockman.
Not 365,
404, the
404.
Stone Cold Stunner Bull.
Mm-hmm.
Who's probably the most impressive EPD profile I've ever seen on a bull.
Yep.
The third, okay, and then we sent BRC Aggie that we own with Finley Brothers. He went over there for a little while. We had a bull 236, which we've gotten rid of him since then, but 236 was over there. He was a 167.75, so he was Hickory Stump's full brother. I think it was just 4 bulls, wasn't it? Or am I missing a bull?
You got
365?
365 didn't go.
No.
He was here breeding heifers. But yeah, so they're, true production bulls used in a real world environment. So excited to see that. Got to meet some cool professionals too in the process. Joe Carter put in the embryos, and Joe Carter he knocked it out of the park. And we killed it on preg rates. And he was just a really good guy to work with and a lot of fun. And
First round of embryos we put in, we got 75% pregnancy rate at 60 days.
That's pretty awesome.
And then second time we put embryos in, which was like super cold, we got 55%.
And then we got to meet Dr. Troy Spencer, who's probably one of the more talented cattle vets that I've had exposure to.
Yeah.
And he helped us with kind of our vaccination protocols. He also helped us with some health testing, and he helped us with preg testing. And so got to meet those two guys, and that was something I really enjoyed.
Mm-hmm. The day workers that help come and help are extremely handy. So
and we even got our pictures taken on some horses. So.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you've seen some alligators.
Yeah, there's alligators on that place. There's a lake that kind of wraps around the whole one side of it, and they get in there in the ponds and stuff like that. They don't bother the cattle.
Every time y'all go there and get on a horseback, though, I'm like, please don't let Brandon get hung up in a saddle and fall off or blah blah blah.
We owe too much money.
Picture Brandon like driving around, being drugged through a pasture on a horseback or something.
These are strictly for photo purposes only. We immediately got back off. Don't worry.
Okay. Because that
we didn't
worries
ride
me.
horses, more straddled the horses.
Yeah, you can't see it in Keaton's photo, but there's somebody holding the leader up.
No, there's not. He's like, but I did have rubber boots on, so it's all the same.
Wait, you mean some ranches just stage photo shoots?
Yeah. On the horses,
for
we
social
did.
media.
I'll go ahead and say we did. So first few times, we've got two different cowboy crews that help us from time to time on their availability. One is Colt Carpenter and his wife Aniston, and both of them extremely talented cutting and rodeo and things like that. But they're great day hands, and they really are good with the cattle. And then Brody Paul and his brother, they come and help us from time to time, and we couldn't do it without them as far as getting the cattle pinned, because it's a big place over there, and so they help us get them to the pens, and then while we're working, they help run the back and bring the cattle to us while we're doctoring and vaccinating and all the other kind of stuff. So they've been great to work with, and it really made it an enjoyable experience.
So, like, if you had to categorize the level of real ranchiness that we do on a day-to-day basis at BRC versus the real ranchiness you do over in Louisiana, rate them. Because y'all see, I've never been there, but it seems like y'all sound super cowboys when you're in Louisiana.
They're on their horses, and I'm on my feet running around, shuffling around,
it's not much different for us.
Yeah, but I think the scale of it makes you feel really ranchy when you've got 200 cows in the pens and dust clouds behind you.
At one time, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and you can't hardly hear each other talk because they're all mooing and whatever else. But I would say it's not any more ranchy what we do. There's
Y'all
more
do
ranchy
some
elements.
pretty ranchy stuff here.
Yeah. It's a little unconventional in our methods. Sometimes you may rope out of a mule or whatever you got to do, but we do get ranchy every now and then.
It does. This whole concept, though, this whole Vision 2030 that we're on, it really is, when you start thinking about the reasoning behind it, of like the crossbreeding and the seed stock and stuff, it's a big undertaking, and it's a lot that y'all have done in a year. Y'all made huge strides in a year, doubled our numbers doubled or tripled our numbers. Really, probably doubled.
I will say, although we have doubled the size of our operation, one thing that you don't realize initially, but you realize it quickly afterwards, is you've also doubled all your expenses.
Right.
So that's a gut punch
your
there.
Feed bill, your registration, number of head you're registering.
And it's taken a lot of time from everybody. I think I've been there 11 times. I think I've been there.
On the average, we're probably over there at least once a month.
I went 3 straight weeks one time, and that's a 7-hour drive. But we have some kind of traditional things we do on our trip too that really kind of adds to the fun of it. And so we're probably going to stop at Buc-ee's in Baytown and fuel up, get a snack to hold us over till we get to Podness. And we stop at I have not passed Podness not one time. And I made 11 trips there and 11 trips back, and I haven't missed it. And we will usually get a little boudin, a little cracklins.
Nice accent.
And then we'll continue on. In the old days, we used to stay in Natchez, and that was fun. I liked going to Natchez because that's a cool town with cool history and a neat architecture and good restaurants and all that. But now we've started staying at the camp house at Trey's, and I think I like that even more because it's like you're at summer camp with
like,
your buddies.
It's almost like deer camp, summer camp type things. I tell you what, I can't say enough about Trey and the way he takes care of us.
Yeah, every time we go there, it's better than the time before.
Yeah,
he's added something new.
This camp house that we stay in, of course, we're on an old plantation, pre-Civil War type stuff, and there's a plantation home on it. They've got these outbuildings and things like that, and he calls what Trey calls it his party house, but he's kind of fixed that up for us and put a shower in there and stuff like that, and we bring our air mattresses and our sleeping bags, and that's where we have
we're cavemen.
Yeah.
100%. All we take is steak, no sides,
Yeah.
and we have to wash our pocket knives off because who knows what we were cutting with them that day. And we have a fork and a pocket knife and a pile of steaks in the middle, and you just cut a piece off and eat it like a caveman. And we have the most fun group of guys could have.
Everybody picture this. You have a big room with air mattresses on the floor, and on the air mattresses is Brandon, Connor, Keaton, Lynn, Harley.
Dr. Troy Spencer even stayed in there.
Yeah, he stayed the night with us. And
y'all just stay up all night talking about girls and
we're
stuff.
usually so tired.
No, normally we're just beat after
Y'all all
a day
share
of
one
working.
restroom?
Yep.
Nice.
Yes. That can be a little bit cumbersome at times.
Does it get cold in there or hot in there?
Cold in the winter and hot in the summer. Yeah, the
But-
opposite.
But I tell you, it's got some of those propane heaters that are like up against the wall, like your old grandma used to have. We had to click the pilot light, and then it goes, and the little panels light up with fire. But like the first night we were there, we were pretty much scared to death to run that thing because we didn't want to like be sleeping and then go out.
Yeah, and then we lose the entire
Carbon
team
monoxide.
right there.
So
And then from there on out, it's going to be a 100% show for BRC Ranch.
BRC just became, it's going to be BRC-SC. As
Show
Brickhouse
cattle.
said.
yeah, so we had gotten warm, got cozy with our sleeping bags on the air mattresses that first night, and it was 28 degrees outside. And we got cozy and everything. I was, this is going to be good. It's perfect. We went and cut those heaters off. All of us, I remember waking up in the middle of the night, like at 1 a.m., and I said, man, I need to go to the restroom. So I went and in my process of going into the restroom, I had waken everybody else up. And we went from being nice and comfortable to the coldest we had ever been in our lives. Like we all realized we were cold. And for the next few hours, we froze. Dude.
Nobody slept.
Dead.
I thought you were going to say y'all all huddled up together on one air
No,
mattress. And I was like, whoa, guys.
We did not, but it was rough until we got those heaters cranked back up and going again.
Desperate times, you know?
It sounds like your college trailer house experience
Yeah,
as
pretty
well
much.
with no heat.
Pretty much.
You went for a whole winter with no heat, right? Or
Two
you
winters.
only
Two
two winters.
That's right. I didn't
Nice.
have the money to fix my
Who needs heat?
central heat. And I wouldn't sleep with the propane heater on because I was scared.
That's funny. What other fun stuff have I missed? We got to talk about the reverse sort debacle. Remember that? That was part of this, right?
Yeah, it was. Remember
That-
when the
so-
reverse sort machine broke
so-
the day we were supposed to?
So in our spreadsheets, we were calculating that we were going to try to make more heifers primarily because heifers bring more
At the time.
At the time, our Brahman heifers were averaging more, and so we thought in order to pay off this loan that we took out, we're going to do heifers and we're going to sell heifers. And so y'all did all those matings, and then the reverse sort machine broke, and you didn't get all heifers, right? Is
Yeah,
that
and we
how I
pretty
kinda
much ran
remember it?
everything conventional.
I think we got to sort 2 cows. I think we sorted
And-
Sweetie, one other cow. I can't remember who it was, but
So when you were initially, Brandon, you were upset, and I was like, no, this is a sign. I was like, the next Noble is in this calf crop. I'm like, there is a reason that this reverse sort machine did not work because there's something in there that's going to be a major impactful bull. And then now our bulls are averaging higher than the heifers.
Yeah, I was
know.
gonna say it's amazing how God's timing works. And like in that instance, we had based all of our budgets and everything on a certain amount of females and
Yeah.
budgets females because we were more females to sell, but also more females to keep back and build a herd of cattle
Mhm.
that we wanted. And when they called and said that machine broke and we had to run everything conventional, I'm thinking we're ruined.
Bankruptcy, here we come.
But like the very next day, I think we come to the realization that one, we don't have any bulls to sell. Two, we our bulls out average our heifers on the price thing, and three, on the beef side of things in our steer program, the thing's blowing up.
Mhm.
So we needed more bulls. So it worked out.
Yeah.
Yeah. And,
Best case scenario, really, it worked out.
and we probably wouldn't have had as much luck with conception rates on those embryos, too, if
That's
we would have
right.
ended up
Yeah.
sorting them. So, I mean, I think in multiple ways that was God kind of leading us in a direction we didn't think we needed to go, but we actually did.
Knock on wood, but in all of our projections, we're a year into it now. We're better than what we projected, and that's kind of a good way to
With
project.
the
Like
exception of going over budget
Air-
on the
Right.
purchases.
err on, lowball everything, estimate like worst case scenario. But I think our interest rate has gone down nearly 1% from what it was this time last year. Commercial cattle prices have gone up since what we forecasted for a break even. We're getting more bulls, but our bull sales are really high. So everything is going in the direction we want it to go in.
Yeah,
As
that's
of
right.
now.
And one thing that feels really, really, really good is we worked with Dr. Spencer on the calves that they have outside now. So all of them, all the Angus cows had purebred Angus calves. All the Hereford cows had purebred Hereford calves, really good black crossbred calves, and things like that. Went through on their vaccination program and vaccinated them where they would all meet Superior's protocol. When we got ready to sell those calves and market them on a VAC 45 program, those cattle are ready for Superior. And and if you go look at the market right now,
How much longer until we sell them? Do we
I
need
think
to?
we're a July delivery date's what we were looking
Okay.
at.
July 16th is 45 days of being weaned. They're ready to go.
I know when
And
I
so I'm
saw
like,
all that.
please hold
Uh-huh.
this market out.
Whenever I saw that stuff about Trump hitting the air stuff, I was like, please don't crash the cattle market. Please don't.
Yeah, we need that Superior guy to get there like now.
Yeah.
Right.
Let's get this deal done.
That is another thing, though, that if you say you're selling your cattle on Superior, that adds just such, or any, live ag, either one of those, that just makes you seem so legit.
Oh yeah,
Guys,
calculating
so, like-
shrink and talking about slides and
Right,
everything.
we need
know what we're
Lancaster
talking
data
about.
here.
Maybe we don't either, but
We don't.
But you know what's awesome about Superior and those programs? They have those badges down at the bottom.
mhm.
And for years and years and years, we are Purina people. There's a badge for Purina. You get a premium.
Nice.
The
You do?
different health
You
products.
can. I mean,
yeah.
Oh,
Different health products give you a certain premium per head and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, this is cool.
that is cool.
Yeah.
And
It makes you see the side of ranching that maybe we just haven't been as familiar with.
yeah,
Fun fact, did y'all know the creator of the VAC 45 program was my old boss, Dr. John McNeil?
I
that's
did not
awesome.
know Dr.
You didn't know
McNeil did.
that?
No, I did not.
When I started at, I guess it would have been 97, fall of 97, working for Dr. McNeil, he had just created this concept from ranch to rail data, and he was like the king of VAC 45, and every day he would get calls, because again, no internet, no Facebook, he would get calls from like Drover's Journal and Beef Magazine, and they were like interviewing him, and they were all writing these stories about his VAC 45 program, and I'm like, here we are.
So we'll
I
have
think
some
I
back
actually made
45
a
kids.
little brochure about it, like a trifold brochure about
Yeah.
his VAC 45 program. It was awesome.
but these calves are doing great.
So
Yeah,
where are
really
you at
exciting.
now in the deal, Keaton? Like where are we at now? We've got calves calves ready to wean, or
They're
We've
weaned.
already weaned our first set of calves, and there's still a small group of calves that are on cows. What, maybe 30 left to wean?
That are spring born.
Yeah.
There was a small group of Hereford cows that were spring calving, and they've all got calves on their side right now.
Yeah, so there's no more calves to be had, but there's a few cows that have calves on their side, but everybody else is weaned and kind of in the preconditioning stage. We just got back last night, 7 or 6:30 or so, and from working through those weaned calves, and me and Brandon and Lynn made kind of our selections on what we thought was quality enough to be seed stock. versus what needed to stay and sell through Superior. And so, like I said earlier, I think we ought to have a dozen or so really marketable bulls come this fall, and then another 35 to 40 registered heifers, either Angus or Hereford. And so,
Yeah, there's a strong slug of those heifers that it's going to be tough talking myself into selling them because they're good. They're nice heifers.
mm-hmm. And they'd all be out of. Most of the heifers are out of good Shaw branded cows or good Dismukes Angus cows or good Ingram Angus cows, and so there's some confidence in just their pedigrees, their quality. We're pretty excited about.
Well, I got bad news for you. In the spreadsheet this year, we did not factor in keeping any. We did not factor in keeping our own replacements until 2026. Well, that's next year, right?
Yeah.
Can you hold them out until next year? Maybe, I don't know if you could factor in the premium cost that you're getting for your crossbred cattle to justify keeping some.
To be determined. But there may be a handful of little Angus heifers.
Y'all are getting nervous.
And a handful of little Herefords we can sneak back for ourselves.
The cool part about it is they're all fixing to start calving again. So it's
it's
not like
we're at the end of June and they're going to be calving the September.
Thank God y'all got them bred.
We remembered to turn. Yeah. And
I can't believe that was asked of me.
What do you think of me? But and all the Herefords that are here at the ranch should start calving next month.
Yeah,
the donor type ones that we brought.
The ones
down.
we started AIing and brought back there, they'll start calving end of July.
So if
they
someone is listening and they are thinking, okay, I'd like to give BRC a try, like I would like to look at their Hereford and Angus, when will those be ready for someone to come? I mean, we talked about doing a sale in November, December, so that's kind of the time.
Fall's about when they'll be ready to look at.
Yeah,
that's exciting. What else have I missed?
I don't know. Brandon, is there any?
I keep thinking that, again, I have yet to be over there. It's only been y'all. But I keep thinking that, so when y'all load these things out to Superior, how many are they going to fit on one truck, or are you going to need multiple trucks?
Right now, with the added up the weights and everything, right now it's almost a truck and a half. So
it'd probably be 2 trucks by the time they put on another.
Yeah, by the time they gain
another
more
month
weight,
again,
it'd be 2 trucks.
Yeah, that's exciting. I mean, some people probably sell 200 trucks, but I mean, if you've had none and then you start to 2, that's better than nothing.
Yeah.
I told you the other day, I wish that my grandpa was alive, because he would be eating this up. He would be there all the time. He would be like loving every minute of it. He would absolutely love it. Don't you think?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I was sitting here just kind of thinking. I could see him all like positioned.
Oh, I could see him positioned
by
too.
the chute, telling us sort this and sort that. Just kind of ramrodding the deal for us, and I'd be happy to let him do it too.
Yeah, he would love it. He would be so proud.
It's kind of one of those deals where it's like dress for the job you want, and you dress like a super rancher, and you dream of it, and then you're in the middle of it, and you almost want to pinch yourself. Like, I never thought I'd be here working through a set of 250 cows, and then here you are doing it.
Like what they call it? Will it into existence or something like that? Yeah, that is. Yeah, I still feel like I'm in a dream sometimes.
Yeah, calculating break evens and doing things that we had never really thought about before this year. But think about how much we've learned since this deal started a year ago.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And think about what we'll know in 2030.
Here's a fun exercise. We're involved with 3 breeds right now: Brahman, Hereford, and Angus. What are some pros and cons of each breed?
You mean just like the involvement of the breed, or like heat tolerance versus marbling?
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Like
hands-on personal experience stuff.
Yeah.
Like with specifically the cows we have. I mean,
I will say before we jump into this, I love these things. The Hereford cattle and the Angus cattle, we almost have an even number of each breed.
I actually think Brahman is our lowest breed. Purebred Brahman.
Maybe, but it'll be better because we do have a bunch of keeper heifers coming into the system soon.
Yeah, so they're pretty close to being even, and so I guess
I could probably sum up at least my opinion on what the strengths of those 3 breeds in this system. I think the Angus are the most fertile. I think if you just looked at breed up and things like that and who took the most embryos, the Angus are the most fertile, the Herefords are the hardest working, and the Brahmans are the toughest.
That's right.
And the prettiest.
And
I was
prettiest.
going to say,
And they are the
y'all
prettiest.
Traders.
One, they're all Brahmins will all. I say this, but 10 years from now, who knows? But I say that Brahmin are the core. Brahmin are the focus.
And with that never crossed our mind even. Like we were never going to leave Brahmin or even put it number 2.
Yeah.
It's always
Right.
been the premier.
I remember early on in this deal, we kind of stayed kind of quiet about it, and just in case it flopped, nobody
It's always our strategy.
nobody knew. But early on, somebody said, "Hey, I hear you're getting into Hereford and Angus. Well, what about your Brahmin?" Like we were getting out of Brahmin. Like, no, actually, and you kind of got to spell it out. We're actually increasing our Brahmin herds, but also stepping out into other places. So it's a combination of expansion on all fronts and diversification on all fronts.
Well, and just to open this in a different direction, I know we've been talking for a while and we're probably running out of time-ish, but what's the reception been like to people that have heard of this idea, have spoke with us about it? I mean, I can start like when Kyle Perez came to visit the other day, and he was like, well, how far are y'all going to take this deal? And I said, well, I guess we're just going to take it step by step and see where it goes. And he said, no, y'all can absolutely be a Hereford seed stock operation. And that felt good to hear. But I mean, and think like talking to Wyatt Ernst about him looking for Hereford and Angus bulls that can survive and last. Scott Hall and the Jason Brightshoffs. I think the reception's been overwhelming for the most part.
Yeah, everyone I've talked to is asking to keep them, to let them know when they have them ready, and I'm excited. It's different seeing the baby calf Herefords.
It is a different
That's still different, like it's very different to see that in the front pasture of BRC.
I will say, number one learning experience on this whole deal is you better tag and weigh them calves while they are wet. You're not catching, or at least my fat ass is not catching them.
Well, the other thing too is they pin weird. These
Yes.
cattle move weird. They act
Yes.
different. Like a Brahmin, you go to pinning them and they kind of group up, file, and go. These Herefords will bend over and chew on a little grass, and the calves will be bucking and playing. And you got to bunch them back up and push them again.
They're completely different animals, and Brahmins can be troublesome at times, but Brahmins that know what's going on are fantastic, and you almost have to reset yourself between working different herds. And maybe the biggest would be, like right now in the summertime, if we're working Hereford and Angus cows, you better get started at daylight, and you better be out of the pens by 9 to 10, something like that, 10 o'clock, or they're going to get too hot. And we're a Brahmin cow, it can be 120 degrees, and we just work right on through lunch.
No, you got to worry about the help falling out.
Yeah, you got to worry about your crew and not the cattle.
That's my favorite funny story from Louisiana is Trey. He's funny. He really is. He's such a nice guy and fun to be around. But he calls Brandon the slave driver, I take it as a compliment. But he talks about how hard we work. And the new day workers, Brody and Ryland, came by, and it was getting towards lunchtime, and one of them made a joke about being hungry, and Trey said, "Oh no, they don't feed you here. You're working right through lunch." No, it was like 1, but we have shown Trey a level of hard work that I think that he's respects. I guess.
I don't know, but we do feed them.
Yes, we do. This is the sarcasm of it.
Yeah, but a lot of times we have to be reminded, hey, it's lunchtime.
You do that all the time.
Because I do that here at the ranch.
Yes, you do that all the time.
Everybody knows me, knows I do not intentionally miss lunch.
Today is the first time I've eaten lunch this week, so there we go.
But we just happen to get into a groove sometimes, and we're so focused on the task at hand that lunch just passes us by. But the funny thing is, Harley, of all people, over the years that he's been working for us, he's figured out how to
He just leaves.
He just leaves.
That's his right, according to OSHA.
Yeah.
You know?
And so when it gets lunchtime, that's how he reminds everybody. He just dropped. We'd be in the
Good for
middle.
him.
We'd be in the middle of doing something, and like I said, it's not intentionally trying to miss work. I just forget about it, and so he's like, "Hey, I'm going to lunch," and like
Good
he'll
for
just
him.
drop me, and then I'm like, "Oh yeah, it's lunchtime."
Yeah.
We come to a stopping point, then we go to lunch.
More funny stories of Trey, because Trey's funny, but I think a couple of funny ones. The snake in the rafters is funny. Like, we had to get this snake and dispatch it because Trey was not getting not one thing done. It was up above the chute.
Who could if you're afraid a snake is
Yeah.
going to fall on you?
Yeah, Trey and Connor were probably pretty useless at that point in time.
That thing was in the rafters, not hurting anybody. But when Lynn said, "Hey, there's a snake up there," from that moment on, we could get nothing done because they never quit looking at the rafters.
How did y'all get it out?
We finally were like, "Hey, let's just chill out." I said, "Let's get that thing," and so we knocked it out of there, and like Keaton says, dispatched him. And after that, we were good to go again.
Oh, that's crazy.
But they would never. They quit looking at the cattle and just kept looking straight up. And
The other funny Trey one for me is it's pretty wet. They get quite a bit of rain down there, and the pens can stay relatively muddy because there's cattle coming in and out all the time. But it was dark one night. We got there late. It was me and Lynn. I think it's when we took herd bulls to drop off. We dropped him off, and Trey goes to open a gate, slips in the mud hole, and falls in. And as he falls in, I go to help him out, and he slips as I'm trying to help him and grabs me and pulls me, and we both fall in the mud hole.
Oh, my
So me and
gosh.
Trey, like, belly, face,
Oh.
front of our pants are just covered in mud, but he giggled and it made it okay.
yeah, I tell you that we couldn't have done this whole deal without Trey, and I really appreciate him and his family and everybody involved over there because
It's awesome.
he's just as diligent with those cattle as if they were his cattle,
And he knows them.
He knows the cattle really, really good. And like had a calf lose the ear tag or this or that, and he was like, "Oh, she belongs to this one," so we just retag it and roll on. Because, like I know the Brahman cows, I can see them from half a mile away and just look at them and know who they are without seeing their brands just by their head or how they're acting or something like that. Trey when I go over there, I don't know those cattle.
Yeah.
And now I recognize ear tag numbers because I'm doing all the paperwork. And over time, I've gotten to kind of know them. But Trey knows those cattle really, really good.
Quick question, how do you find the interfaces with the Hereford and the Angus Association? Like, is it easy to register your calves? Hard to register your calves?
Very easy.
Easy?
And very easy. Outside of DNA, they're all pretty easy. Brahman, Hereford, and Angus. Angus has probably got more tools available on that you can use. You can run different reports and all that different kind of stuff. But they're all pretty easy to work. You know, when you start doing the DNA, it adds another level of complication. But for the most part, it's been pretty seamless. All the people at every association, Hereford and Angus, have been phenomenal to work with, and then like Allison that helps with the DNA with the Brahman, has been exceptional to work with. So kudos to her. And
I mean, of the breeds that I've had at some point in my life, between Charolais, Red Angus, Hereford, Angus, Brahman, outside of the DNA has been troublesome for me here. The Brahman system's probably my favorite. I like digital beef and the way the ABBA's put all that together. It's probably my favorite system to use. But
it's the easiest to search on.
So I don't know. Kudos. Good job, guys. I do like that program a lot.
Keaton, are you going to Kansas City for the Hereford? I know
Maybe.
Elizabeth is going.
I guess. Let's do it. I would love to.
And
Can I go too?
It's
I
World
guess.
World Hereford Conference.
I think y'all should. I'm like, let's just. I am such a what's the word, like, fan girl, because I'm like, well, whoever wins Kansas City Hereford, we just need to buy semen on that bull. But I mean, I don't even know.
That's not what we need to do.
We did buy semen on the champion bull from Oklahoma City like a day after he was
that's
champion.
like it's Cattlemen's Congress. It's really ranchy. You know, I'm like, y'all just need to be building a semen tank of all the top Hereford bulls. Except I don't know, is the Hereford show deal different from the Hereford?
That is the most
Different.
refreshing part about the Herefords. Is most similar to Brahman of any breed that I've been involved with. Your high selling herd bull could still be a flush mate to the champion heifer at Denver. They're
Yeah,
one of the
that's
few
cool.
breeds that's still like that.
Yeah.
I tell you, being involved with all the breeds, I'm starting to become more and more of a diehard Hereford person.
he's a white-faced man.
If we could get rid of that pink eye,
You're gonna name one
and
Vindicator.
if we could get rid of that foot rot and stuff like that, I'm in. You know,
And that's we've been talking all this good stuff about the other breeds. That's where Brahman comes back into play.
yes,
Because we don't. That's been the hardest part, is getting used to these problems that other breeds have that we have never had to deal with in our lives.
Yeah.
When was the last time you doctored foot rot at the
Never.
ranch? Yeah, exactly. When was the last time you had to put a patch on one's eye?
You have to do
Never.
that?
If it's bad enough.
Poor Miley Peck.
Trey cut up one of her denim jackets and was making patches out of her denim jacket.
For real? That's a thing? Oh.
Yes, putting these doctor in their eye and then putting the glue in a patch to the
Miley's
side.
gonna decorate them up.
You can have
like a
smiley face
daisy on
patches.
it.
Now, I will say I think she's outgrown these, and these are just some old denim jackets laying around.
So yeah,
But-
Brahman, thank you
yes.
for spoiling us up to this point,
Yes.
because there's a lot of problems that we didn't even know existed.
That's where I was going with earlier when I was like, okay, pros and cons of each breed, but where I was going to try to end up as is how well they complement each other
Yeah.
so well,
Mhm.
and it's great, it's amazing, it's a lot of fun, and it's sure, it's been a lot of work, but I also think it's been a morale booster because it's different. It's another challenge and keeps the minds that we have on our team in motion moving forward.
Yeah, that's a good way. It's a lot of work. It's added
It's
a lot of work. But at the same time, when you have a team like ours who are full of people who are so smart and like a challenge and like doing something new, it really utilizes everybody's strengths to do it. you
Yeah,
know?
it's hard to get stale when you're doing something
Right.
different every day, and this just adds another wrinkle to all
And the
that.
different logistics that go into it. Like when we get ready to flush over there, that place is 6 hours away from Transova, but but everything we do is fresh. Put in fresh embryos and stuff like that. So we have everything timed. Our cowboy crew has the cattle in the pen waiting on us to be there the next morning. We swing up to College Station, get our embryos, and away we go.
Yeah, we
and
got them
I
in the
just-
incubator.
Got
You've
it all
also-
worked out.
We've had to learn from this is like scaling up, because
Yes.
when you were looking at, was it buying cedars or something,
Mhm.
that just a dollar price difference made a big difference in the bottom
it'd be
line.
hundreds of dollars.
And we're used to just going to Wharton Vet or going to Wharton Feed and just buying whatever we need when
Now
we're
we do
working at
shopping.
small doses. But now y'all really started pricing things out, sending in rebate cards.
Oh yeah, I have never in my life been a fan of rebates until now, and now I'm like, I live by a rebate.
Yeah, when your medicine bill is $6,000 in a
Yeah.
month, those rebates.
And I've been getting those emails here recently from Bangor Ingleham saying your rebate has been processed. The check is in the mail.
Yes, I don't know that I've seen those yet though.
Yeah,
Maybe-
but I got the email. So
Forward
in the mail.
those to us. Yeah. One thing I do think, kind of maybe just to kind of wrap it up, is this whole thing has shown us the value of people and relationships,
Yeah.
because all of this started with just a simple conversation with one of our trusted service providers, Transova, Carrie at Transova, asking us how could he help us, him connecting us with Trey, Trey being an amazing person that, now we get to be friends with and have in our lives. Our relationships with, like Barber, Ingram, Jimmy Dismukes, you and Cord Weinheimer, like all these people that put all the pieces together to make it happen.
Yeah,
I think that's really cool.
It is really cool. Yeah, I think Kerry Crow probably set all this in motion. We probably owe him a thank you too. But the more I spend time around him, I don't know if there's anybody outside of this room other than Kerry Crow that's as passionate about Brahmins and making them good and productive. And so,
He's very passionate.
yeah, we're
about
trying
it.
to take care of your mission, Kerry.
there are a few people that we forgot to mention to thank. the ladies at the shortstop in Sicily Island, Louisiana, for feeding us breakfast
Oh, the
every
biscuits.
morning.
The biscuits
Those
are good.
biscuits and grits are amazing. So I doubt that they're listening to this podcast, but thank you,
But you
shortstop
love
of Sicily Island.
Yep. Magnolia Grill in Natchez, Mississippi.
Oh, man, that's
But-
awesome.
We could talk about food till tomorrow.
It is cool when I'm like tracking y'all when you're gone and I don't hear from you for 3 days, and I'm like, look y'all up and it says he's in Sicily Island and it shows like a literal island. Like you can see this little water around it and there y'all are right in the middle of nowhere and there you are.
What is that? The food show where you like going across America and you stop at the different places and
The
they're
diners, dives, and drive-ins.
stuff like that. We've got our own version of that. And so, like he said, we stop at Buc-ee's for a little snack on the way over. And then we'll stop at Podna's there and get chicken cracklings and regular cracklings and boudin balls and sausage and all that kind of stuff. But then we stop at Kinder a lot of times. And if we're going through there about lunchtime or dinner time, and go to Fausto's. It's got amazing gumbo. From time to time, we'll go over to Tunk's Cypress Inn outside of Alexandria. Freaking amazing.
Magnolia's incredible.
Magnolia Grill over there at Natchez. Where's the and the most recent find in Iowa, Louisiana, a place called In-Laws. If you guys want a pork steak that will make your tongue slap the top of your forehead,
Is it Nowatzki's or whatever? That's there?
Navarsky's
in
in
Sulphur.
Sulphur.
But
we
I
know
think
all
the-
these places.
I think the key center to this is they're all Cajun places, and I'm thinking about getting a secondary citizenship to Louisiana and just calling myself
the only
half Cajun.
the only thing we're missing is white rubber boots.
That's it. I got them. Don't worry.
When you said that about your boudin or however you said it, you sounded just like Treg Myers.
That's right.
I was like, is Treg here? Did Treg just join the podcast?
He might have. I've talked to him probably on the phone 57,000 times, so I've mastered it pretty well.
Oh, yeah, that was great.
It's been a lot of fun, and I am really excited about the future, not only of our Brahman operation, but the future of these other breeds as well.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a lot of fun.
Oh, I'm going to toss this in. I don't know if Brandon told you, but did y'all talk about selling some You talked about selling some Herefords in the Night of Champions. Is that a possibility? Do you know this story?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so somebody said that there's maybe some show prospect Hereford heifers that could possibly go in the Night of Champions. I don't know if it is or not. And I was like, Brandon, well, who's going to fit them? And he was like, oh, we're just going to sell them slick sheared. And I was like, we cannot sell them.
If I have anything to do with it, they will be
But
slick
I
because
was like,
I'm not messing with any hair.
if we will purchase a blower, if we can purchase a blower, me and Elizabeth have agreed that we'll blow them out. We'll be the hair crew. We will.
Skiba.
We will. Well, Connor can halter break and rinse, and we will do the little blowing on it, and it'll be fun. It'll be a fun little project.
I'm still in the slick shear vote.
I like down shearing and torching, but I do not like fitting and clipping.
So anyway, stay tuned. Who knows? Well, anything to wrap it up?
I finally get to use my freeze brand.
Oh, you do? Yeah. Are y'all going to brand these things?
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Dang
yeah.
right.
With a freeze brand?
Yep.
Yeah. Okay, cool. And a number? Or
Yep. They
How are
have
you
brand
gonna-
numbers.
How are you going to name these things? What's
Already
the
Already
system?
named.
What are they?
So, like in the Angus, you go by cow families.
Okay.
And
Hereford's
Hereford's-
sire line with the number.
So give me an example of what a typical BRC Hereford is going to be named.
Lady Sergeant 629.
Okay.
But
Okay.
that's
BRC Lady Sergeant
that's
629.
what their mothers and stuff have been.
Okay. Cool.
There's kind of a format that I've noticed in all of
That you
those
like?
that we just kind of kept with the format.
Okay.
And then, like on the Angus side of things, what do we have? What's some of those?
Black Rose.
Black Cat May, BRC Black Cat May 500.
Well, that sounds fun.
And so, yeah.
If y'all come across anything out there Hereford wise that traces back to Michigan State University that is in our budget, I want it. I want that one coming to our ranch.
Well, I mean,
There was one last year that we should have bought, but we didn't.
I am at the point where I am highly interested in looking at buying flushes and aspirations
there goes the
and,
neighborhood.
and embryos to put in. So
But yeah, MSU Keepsake and MSU Rachel are two of my favorite cows of all time.
Is there still stuff from them
floating
around?
There's a bull contender that's a Rachel grandson who was a national champion 5 years ago, maybe 4 years ago.
Please, someone out there, point us in that direction.
Yeah,
I would love that.
It's been a lot of fun.
It has been a lot of fun.
There was something in our Hereford deals, we also have one dam of distinction, which is
it's equivalent of maternal merit.
Equivalent of maternal merit in Brahman or Pathfinder cow in the Angus. And so we have one of those, and we have about 4 of them that are on their way to being it. And so really excited about that.
Did they give you like a certificate for that?
I think so.
Then y'all could go to the Hereford banquet and y'all could like get a certificate?
Beat my chest.
Like BRC has not attended the ABBA banquet in 8 years to get a certificate.
We're going to get that damn
to
distinction.
Kansas City. Goes to Kansas City with our entire team to get a certificate.
But I like that how much the idea of this has changed through the process, because if the day one we were sitting in here, flushing a Hereford cow was never on our agenda, and I appreciate the freedom that you've given us and trusted us to kind of go in the direction.
You're not saying that I'm the one directing this ship?
You're the directing the finances
Right,
for sure. For sure.
Yes.
And
we
trusted
can,
that we had it under control.
Set the bounds that we can operate within.
And it's in this spreadsheet. As long as we're in the spreadsheet.
All based off of informed financial decisions.
Y'all done a great job. Well, I think we could wrap it up by saying we are living the dream. Living the dream.
It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of fun.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys, and hope you all have a great day.
You've been listening to the Over the Hump podcast. Our passion is Brahman cattle, and it runs deep. And this show is about its rich history, industry trends, and stories that define the American Brahman. We hope you've enjoyed the show. If you did, make sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe. We'll be back soon. But in the meantime, find us on Instagram and Facebook at BR Catrayer. See you next time on the Over the Hump podcast.